The rain had been falling since morning, softly tapping against the small windows of the house. Inside, the smell of tea and old wood filled the air. Aisha stood by the stove, stirring a pot, while her husband, Imran, sat by the window, staring into the grey distance. They hadn't spoken much in weeks. The silence between them had grown thick, not angry, but heavy, like fog that refused to lift. Their son, Hamza, was away at university, and with him gone, the house. Aisha placed a cup of tea on the table beside Imran. "It's hot," she said softly. He nodded without looking up. She waited a moment, hoping he'd say something, but he didn't. She went back to the kitchen. They had once been inseparable, laughing, planning, sharing everything. But life had changed them. Years of work, bills, and small disappointments had worn away the spark that once lit their days. Imran worked as an accountant for a private firm. He was a quiet man, careful with money and word. Aisha had stayed home most of her life, raising Hamza and keeping the house in order. They had built a stable life, but stability, she realized, wasn't the same as happiness. That evening, Imran came home late again. His shoes were wet, and his face looked tired. Aisha didn't ask where he'd been. She simply warmed his food and placed it on the table. He ate in silence. When he finished, she sat across from him. "Do you ever feel," she began carefully, "that we've become strangers?" Imran looked up, surprised. "Strangers," he repeated. "Yes," she said. "We live together, but we don't really talk anymore." He sighed and leaned back in his chair. "What's there to talk about, Aisha? We've talked about everything already. Bills, Hamza, your mother's medicines. What else is left?" She looked at him, tears forming in her eyes. "Us," she whispered. "There's still us." For a moment, neither spoke. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. Imran's face softened, but he didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. That night, Aisha lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought about their early days, the long walks by the river, the laughter, the dreams. She missed those days. She missed him. Imran wasn't asleep either. He turned toward her in the dark. "Aisha," he said quietly. She didn't respond at first. Then she said, "Yes." He hesitated. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I don't mean to be distant. I just don't know how to fix things anymore." A tear slipped down her cheek. "We don't have to fix everything," she said. "We just have to try again. Be kind again." The next morning, Aisha made breakfast early: omelette, toast, and chai, just the way Imran liked it years ago. When he came to the table, he smiled faintly. "You remembered," he said. "I never forgot," she replied. It was a small moment, but something shifted that morning. They sat together, not talking much, but not silent either. The warmth returned, faint but real. That weekend, Hamza called from Lahore. "Ammi, Abbu, I'm coming home next month," he said cheerfully. Aisha's heart lifted. It had been almost a year since they'd all been together. When Hamza returned, the house came alive again. His laughter filled the rooms. He noticed the change between his parents immediately. They were gentler with each other now, sharing small jokes and helping in the kitchen. One afternoon, while fixing a broken chair, Hamza said, "You two look happy these days." Aisha smiled shyly. "Maybe we just needed some time to remember what matters." Imran nodded. "And someone to remind us," he added, looking at his son. That night, they all had dinner together. The table was full not just with food, but with laughter. It felt like old times, when love didn't need to be spoken, it simply lived in the air around them. After Hamza went to bed, Aisha and Imran sat outside on the porch. The sky was clear for the first time in weeks. Stars glimmered above them. "It's been a long time since we sat like this," Aisha said. Imran nodded. "Too long." He reached out and took her hand. It felt awkward at first, like holding something fragile. But as their fingers intertwined, the years between them seemed to melt away. "Thank you," he said softly. "For what?" she asked. "For staying," he whispered. even when I forgot how to. Aisha looked at him, her eyes gentle. Marriage isn't about never breaking, she said. It's about fixing again and again together. The night wind carried the faint sound of a train passing in the distance. Imran squeezed her hand tighter. You're right, he said. We still have time. We can still build new memories. They sat there for a long time, saying little. The silence was no longer heavy. It was peaceful, full of things that didn't need words. Inside the house, the clock kept ticking. But for the first time in years, neither of them felt like time was slipping away. Instead, it felt like time had finally stopped, just long enough for them to find each other again. Aisha rested her head on his shoulder. Let's promise, she whispered, never to let silence come between us again. Imran smiled, his eyes wet. Promise, he said. The rain began again, soft, gentle, forgiving. But this time, it didn't sound lonely. It sounded like music.